Hello Year 7 and welcome to your last poetry lesson of, this year really. I'm going to start as usual with the feedback. So the year average for the quiz this week or last week sits at 72%, so slightly below 3/4, but we're still doing excellent on that one. I noticed that students did struggle a little bit with definitions, which we will pick up again in the starter today. 18 students scored 100% on the quiz, so well done to you guys. And here is a piece of work I liked this week and why I liked it. So in terms of the lesson itself, there wasn't much opportunity for a little bit of creative writing. So as part of the extended learning opportunity, I asked students to create their own poem using metaphors. And I wanted to point out this specific one for a particular reason, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through it first and then I'm going to explain why I've picked this piece of work. So it says, its fur is a white blanket lying on its back. As it strolls in the park it sees a squirrel. It runs as fast as it can. Its tail is a flapping flag bouncing on the grass, like a child on a bed full of joy going home. On the couch is a fluffy bear going to sleep. Now, the reason that I picked out this poem is because I read the first line and I immediately thought this has to be about a polar bear. However, when I read further down the poem, I realised that it was about a dog. And this is very important as you read through the poem today, because when you go through, you might think something in the first line, but actually as you go through and read through the poem, you might think something else. And it's okay to think both of these things. I would be able to say that the first line of this poem could describe a polar bear because of the white blanket. However, when I read further on, I know that it's obviously about a dog. You can do this in the poem that you're going to look at today. You might pick out something and think, oh, that can be about whatever it is, and then read on further and think, no, I think something different now. And it's absolutely okay to do that. Don't be afraid to put that in your writing later if you wish. But thank you for that submission, that extended opportunity for learning. I really like that. Keep up the good work. So this starter looks at some of the words that's going to be used in the poem today, and it's asking you to match up the words to their definitions. So we've got malevolent, primeval, blotched, capers, brindled, and the definitions that you've got are covered in marks, belonging to a very early period in the history of the world, to run and jump in a playful way, wanting to cause harm or evil, brownish with streaks of other colour. And if you want to complete the extension, use two of these words in a sentence. Okay, so here are the answers then. Malevolent, wanting to cause harm or evil. Primeval, belonging to a very early period in the history of the world. Blotched, covered in marks. Capers, to run and jump in a playful way. Brindled, brownish with streaks of other colour. If you could tick the ones that you've got right and correct any that you have got wrong, that would be great, thank you. So as I mentioned last week, today we're going to be completing some writing on an unseen poem. You'll need to show how well you can understand the poet's use of metaphors in the poem, and it's very important that you do pick up on the metaphors there. That's something that we've been looking at throughout the last few weeks, and everything that we have looked at in these lessons over the past few weeks will be able to help you write about the poem, but it is very important that you do focus on the writer's use of metaphors. Okay, so here is how you should use your time in this piece of writing. Read the poem 3 times. Make sure you find 2 or 3 metaphors. Think about the tenor, vehicle and ground for each of these metaphors. Plan what you're going to write in each paragraph. The first paragraph should summarise what the poem is about in a couple of sentences. This will be your introduction. The next 3 or 4 paragraphs should explain how the poet describes the cat. Make sure you use quotations in these paragraphs and that you explain what some of the metaphors mean. Then write a conclusion summing up what the poet thinks about the cat. Now you might want to pause the video here so that you can have a reread through of that bullet point list, or you might want to just make a few additional notes of your own. The tomcat. At midnight in the alley, a tomcat comes to wail, and he chants the hate of 1,000,000 years as he swings his snaky tail. Malevolent, bony, brindled, tiger and devil and bard. His eyes are coals from the middle of hell, and his heart is black and hard. He twists and crouches and capers, and bares his curved sharp claws, and he sings to the stars of the jungle nights, ere cities were or laws. Beast from a world primeval, he and his leaping clan, when the blotched red moon leers over the roofs, give voice to their scorn of man. He will lie on a rug tomorrow, and lick his silky fur, and veil the brute in his yellow eyes, and play he's tame and purr. But at midnight in the alley he will crouch again and wail, and beat the time for his demon's song with the swing of his demon's tail. You have the rest of today's lesson time to reread the poem or to re-listen to the poem and answer the following question. How does the poet describe the tomcat in this poem? And I would like you please to write down that question, think back to the plan that I gave you earlier in this PowerPoint or the video, depending on how you're accessing this lesson, and really try and have a good go at answering this question. Remember, we're looking for a number of paragraphs. So please bear that in mind. One paragraph won't be enough, but I'm really excited to see what you guys can come up with, and please don't forget to talk about the metaphors. When you've finished, check your writing. Are there any run-on sentences? Does each sentence begin with a capital and end with a full stop? Does each proper noun begin with a capital? And have you checked your spellings? When you finish your writing, you can attempt this week's quiz. For the extended learning opportunity, I appreciate that you will have completed a lot of writing in this lesson if you've listened to what I've been saying earlier in the video or the PowerPoint. So what I would like to know, all I would like to know, is which poem has been your favourite to learn about over the course of the poetry module, and why. And if you could include any information about those metaphors that are included within that, that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much.